Welcome back, gang. It's Deltia from Deltia's Gaming. Mad Max has been keeping me busy, but we're going to talk about the Templar. Dark Brotherhood changes, what you need to know, stamina, and magic. So stay tuned if you want to know more about the Templar and the future update Dark Brotherhood. Alright, we're in one of the delves here in the Gold Coast, and I want to explain to you kind of what the patch notes say, and then show you exactly what it does. And first, we're going to start on a Magplar. Why? Well, it's my favorite way to play. I love my Magic Templar on live server. Now, this is the PTS, and this is the European server's turn for the next couple weeks. So I have Skibbity Biddity, and he is a dumber Templar, just like 2 beams, but I don't have 300 champion points. I don't have all my gear, so keep that in mind. But the major change with Magplar specifically relies in this passive Sacred Ground. So previously what it did is it gives you major mending while you're in it, and then 4 seconds after you leave, which is huge, but that didn't happen this patch. What happened this patch is enemies standing in your Cleansing Ritual Rune or Rites of Passage had their movement reduced by 30%. And so right there, it's kind of like a Caltrops, AoE Caltrops for Magic, specifically Magic Templars. So Ritual Retribution, this thing that I'm using here, Purifying Ritual, it's the new morph to change with it. So if you look at it, so now when you lay this down, not only does it heal you, remove 2 effects, heal allies, they can use this energy, but look at it. It does magic damage every 2 seconds for 12 seconds. Now this damage isn't like going to light the world on fire, but it adds up, and especially with a massive amount of AoE. So the other morph, Ritual Retribution only removes 2 effects. The other morph, Extended Ritual, removes 5. So there's a benefit taking the magic damage one, and then also taking the extended ritual if you're going to play solo and you need to cleanse and purge often. I really like Ritual Retribution, so let's kind of show you what this looks like here. So like I said, remember my damage is a lot weaker than what it is on the live server. So we're going to get a couple guys here, a couple wisps. We're going to use a magic potion. I'm going to use my Purifying Ritual or Ritual Retribution here, and you can see I'm healing for about 3.4k, and then it ticks for almost 3,000 every 2 seconds on a crit. So you can see here, they're just dying. It's like, I mean, it's not as good as an AoE Caltrops, but it's something. And the added effect that it snares, I think, will be really handy in PvP. So the Magplar, other than that, didn't really get a whole lot of changes specifically in their class. Now, some other things surrounding it definitely did change. And we're going to talk to Templar in a little bit. But specifically PvP, what I like about the Magic Templar now is the access to Vampire and Mist Form. Mist Form got a big change. And what it does now is it grants immunity like it did before, but also removes. So let's say you're rooted in place in previous mist forms. Most people know how to counter mist form. What do? They simply talons you. Not anymore. It's going to remove that effect and grant you immunity. Now, the unmorphed version here, Mist Form, doesn't have the speed component that Elusive Mist does. So Elusive Mist, you're going to get the speed, you're going to get immunity. It's kind of like retreating maneuvers for vampires, a magic base. Super excited about this because I love my Magic Templar, but I call it the Slowplar because I'm just slower than crap. And then every time I heal with retreating maneuvers, I get pulled out of the speed. And if I use speed potions, I get rooted and stunned and so on. The other change that you notice about this is magic recovery is disabled. So that's kind of a downside, but it's a good call, so it doesn't have so many benefits. But I'm really excited about this for my Magplar. Another change you're going to want to know about is proximity detonation. Now, this took a big hit in terms of single target. So it goes up dramatically, and it's going to about be the same amount of damage that it used to be with just a trillion targets around there. Yes, there's AoE caps, but single target wise and using it in PvP, it really took a hit. So on live server, it seemed to be about a 40 to 45% decrease in damage, single target. So let me just use a spell power potion, get my buff up here. Now I usually have dual swords on my live character, but let's just show you this. 12k on a crit. Now on live server, my live character, you know, I'm doing a lot more, like 25, and then goes up to 30, even 40,000 single target in PvE. So in PvP, you're going to probably cut that in half, and then also some mitigation Some people are going to have more crit resistance. Do I think it's still going to be effective in PvP? Yes, but I don't think it will be mandatory to use this ability in every single application, which is probably a good thing because you don't want to force PvEers to have to do PvP to get one of the most powerful abilities in the game, which is Proxy Debt. So hopefully it's going to work as intended, blowing up Zergs and that sort of thing with a bunch of people stacking together, but not be so, massive for specific magic builds all have to have it. Some other things that change in the Fighters Guild. So this is pretty much all stamina now. Trap Beast used to be magic damage, but you can see it's physical damage. So a lot of people still use Trap Beast as magic users. And we go here, rearming Trap Beast. And it used to hit pretty hard, even for magic users, because it was magic damage. Well, now it's physical damage, and it gives you the minor force buff. Additionally, Dawnbreaker of Smiting, one of my favorite all-time magic abilities to use in PvP, which is, you do an Empower with maybe a Dark Flare or Structured Entropy, and bang! Well, now this is physical damage. So you have to look for that. So look at the tooltip of Dawnbreaker of Smiting, 10k, and then 12k over time. Then we go to Crescent Sweep, 8k, and 3k over time. So Crescent Sweep costs a lot less. It can proc Burning Light, but still you might have some benefit to use Dawnbreaker of Smiting. Though I don't know. I really miss that it has a magic component. But they changed it so that the Fighters Guild skill lines all are pretty much stamina based, and the Mages Guild skill lines are all pretty much magic based. So I understand why they did that. Two things that needed to get changed with the Stamina Templar did this patch, and that is how Burning Light works for stamina builds, and then also Power of the Light. So if we go in here, I respect my attributes, and a couple things was Biting Jabs. So you see Biting Jabs here, it has the chance to proc Burning Light, which is a lot of the reason why we use Jabs over any other ability is because it gives you extra damage. But now look at it. Deals physical damage in scales with weapon damage or magic damage and spell damage. This is really important, making this Templar do a lot more damage. When Gil and I were working on it, we tested if this Burning Light proc is affected on armor and resistance, and it is. Meaning if you strip the armor off of a target, your Burning Light will hit harder, making it hit extremely hard. And so the jab spamming Templar does a really good amount of damage. And imagine that in PvP. When you crit rush in, do a Wrecking Blow or the other morph to stun them and then do jabs, you're just doing so much damage because now that scales a lot higher. You're talking probably a third to 2/3 more damage in some instances, especially if Warhorn is up. Big positive change I'm really liking for the Templar. Another thing the Templar lacked was Power of the Light, converts it into stamina abilities and deals physical damage. So this thing now does physical damage, and it's one of the only sources that you can get minor fracture and major breach at the same time. So if you're going to do a raid in PvE, perhaps this is really nice to use because you and your party both benefit from minor fracture and breach, physical and spell resistance. Plus it does physical damage, and this thing hits extremely hard, just as hard when I had my live characters as my magic builds did. So I'm really excited about the Templar and that change. So a couple things that change as well is Volley here. You'll notice no more Scorched Earth. And a lot of people are still going with Endless Haul as their ability they want to use, which was replace Scorched Earth for 10 seconds. But it's still powerful. I would still probably use it because Arrow Barrage is really nice because the AoE, but the single target damage of Endless Haul is really fantastic, even with the bow, even with the Maelstrom or not the Maelstrom bow. Really nice. Some other changes that are debatable are Dawnbreaker and some of these stamina morphs. So we go to Flawless Dawnbreaker here. That only gives you 5% while slotted. And something that I'm really disappointed in, super disappointed in Expert Hunter. So if we look at it now, what does it do? Essentially, it goes into the Mage Light. Essentially, they're homogenizing both of these skill lines and making them identical, which I really don't like. What Evil Hunter did before is do extra damage and proc and give you back resources. Now, it exposes people from himself. Okay, that's kind of cool. While active fighter guild abilities cost 25% less and gives you Mage's Savagery. So if we put this on our bar, we look, that does not include Flawless Dawnbreaker. So if we go here, rah! So I wish that this reduced cost would account for the ultimate. And correct me if I'm wrong, but when I tested it, it did not. So while active, your fighter's guild abilities cost 28% stamina, and it gives you the major crit, but I'm really disappointed. That extra damage really helps out stamina builds, especially when it procced off in an Undead and Daedra. Specifically, the extra stamina was really helpful as well, so I'm super disappointed in that. The other change here, Camouflage Hunter, I really don't like. Critical hits from Crouch grant Major Berserk, but it's only for 5 seconds. I really think this ability needed Minor Berserk, maybe a 10-second uptime or 12 seconds or something to make it viable again, but that's kind of a big nerf to other stealth, especially stealth Nightblade builds, which we'll get to in a little bit. Very disappointed in that. Trap Beast, Rearming Trap, it does a lot of damage, gang. And now that it scales off of stamina, I mean, almost every stamina ability is really going to need this. So think about leveling that up. I've been leveling it up on about 8 different characters because it's really powerful. And wow, do we have Boner Shield or Bone Shield. So now this is a bubble for stamina builds, yes. And I'm not in stam gear, so just disregard the cost and how big the shield is. Absorbing 30% of your max stamina. I said health last time, apologize about that. Also comes with the synergy, but when we look here, returns damage to melee attackers or increased ally heal and receive, the synergy. So most people are going to take Spike Bone Shield. So on my Imperial Templar, I am just ecstatic that I finally get a shield, and my almost 40,000 stamina-based Templar is going to be a juggernaut. And you can use this with Sword and Board in PvP. The guard ability that I've been talking about so much, I am super excited about how this is going to work in PvP. And I can see almost everyone jumping back on the stamina bandwagon in PvP. Now, I'm using my Magplar right now as a PvP healer, and I like to play solo as stamina just for the speed. But this could really change the way the game works. So people, level up your Spike Bone Shield. It is fantastic. Another downside or upside, however you're going to look at it, is uppercuts / Wrecking Blow. So Wrecking Blow now grants you the Empower, but Dizzying Swing grants you the Knockback. So I imagine a lot of Templars are still going to stick with Wrecking Blow just because you have really powerful stuns with the Javelin. So just so you know that Wrecking Blow did take a nerf. You can also look here at Reverse Slash, Executioner. That got changed, increased the amount of damage dealt to low health, and it doesn't apply to every single ability on your bar, like Crit Rush. So if you had this on your bar and Crit Rush would actually do more damage if they're below 50% health. Now, not so much the case. Reverse Slice. Other enemies nearby take a percentage of the damage inflicted, and it's quite a bit of damage. Is this any vicious death close to thing? Absolutely not. But it's enough for some people to kind of take the other morph, especially if you're going to go up against Group B, Group PvP. Okay, so Stamina Templar, the main thing I'm most excited about is Sword and Board, Heavy Armor, Templar with a massive amount of stamina, and Power Bash. Reverberator and Bash, that still is really nice because it gives you the major defile, but Power Slam, if you're blocking and use this, the tooltip is outrageously high, considering that on a Nightblade, the tooltip is almost more than a surprise attack, and you're not factoring the 25% when you're blocking. It does cost a lot, but Burst on a one-hander is Sword and Shield is back, allowing for really cool play that you're not just going to have to use a two-hander all the time. You can switch it up now, Sword and Board, especially with my favorite ability ever. You guys know, I keep talking about it, Guard. Stalwart Guard, I absolutely freaking love it. Making stamina, I don't know, it's making a big comeback and as far as how I like to play the game. The mobility now that the Magplar has, a lot of different utility and the bubbles that stamina has, and plus the remaining speed that it already has, you still get major mending as a Templar using Purifying Ritual or Restoring Focus. And look at what Restoring Focus does. Imagine plopping this down, getting 4 seconds of your major mending, 25% more healing, get your huge physical resistance, minor protection, minor brutality, and minor protection, minor vitality, and then you pop a vigor and a rally, gang, you're healed up to full, no problem. It's almost like my Stam Templar out heals my Magplar almost with this combination. So You guys know I'm a Templar guy. I love Stamina Templar. My character Maximus, named after my stun, is an Imperial Templar, and I can't wait to check out the Harvester. And then also, I'm really trying to invest in a stamina-based Templar tank. Obviously, I will definitely update the builds that I already have. Templar is my number one, so that's what I'm going to focus on. But I hope you guys got something out of this. Please feel free to leave me a comment. If you notice something different or I misspoke, leave a comment so other people can learn from it and we can see kind of what's going to happen before it does, so people just aren't clueless when this thing comes out in a couple weeks. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to rate, subscribe, share this, and let me know if you like this content. I plan on doing it for the rest of the classes, and hopefully we all can learn something from it. Dark Brotherhood, like I said, Baby D's keeping me busy. I'm trying, people, so stick with me. Thanks.